U.S. Army's most famous machine gun finally gets a modern sight. Soldiers from a Michigan Army National Guard unit spent June 10, 2026 at Camp Grayling firing one of the most iconic heavy machine guns in American military history through a brand new optic system that no other unit in the entire U.S. Army had fielded before them. The 126th Theater Public Affairs Support Element, a Michigan National Guard unit, became the first formation in the Army to receive and field the M155 mounted machine gun Optic, a new sight designed to give soldiers operating the Browning M2.50 caliber machine gun dramatically improved ability to hit targets quickly at both close and long range. The M2 machine gun, universally known as the Ma-Deuce, has been in continuous American military service since 1933 and fires a .50 caliber round, a projectile 12.7 millimeters in diameter. The M2 is a .50 caliber heavy machine gun used on vehicles, tripods, and other mounts across the U.S. military, capable of engaging personnel, light vehicles, and low-flying aircraft at ranges exceeding 1,800 meters, 5,900 feet. Despite decades of service and multiple mechanical upgrades, including the modernized M2A1 variant that introduced a quick-change barrel and fixed headspace to eliminate a dangerous manual adjustment requirement, the aiming system for the weapon has been comparatively neglected, with iron sights remaining the standard even as optics became routine on individual rifles and squad automatic weapons. The M155 mounted machine gun Optic, which the Army designates as the M155 MMO, addresses that gap by providing an integrated optical system that can handle both close-range and long-range targeting without requiring the gunner to choose between them. Jonathan Pollard, a civilian new equipment training instructor with the U.S. Army Tank Automotive and Armaments Command, the Army organization responsible for fielding the new Optic, explained the system's dual-range capability during the Camp Grayling training event. The M155 MMO provides a wide field of view which allows users to quickly acquire close-range targets through the Infinity Viewfinder, Pollard said, and long-range targets with a flip sight and 3x magnifier. The M155 MMO provides a 1x wide-field optic with a magnified mode. Vids quoted the instructor as saying 3x, while the Army's official equipment page lists 4x. The Infinity Viewfinder is a parallax-free sighting technology that allows the shooter to keep both eyes open and engage targets rapidly without losing situational awareness of the surrounding environment, a capability that matters significantly when a vehicle-mounted gunner is scanning for threats across a wide area while simultaneously tracking a specific target. Pollard noted that the system was developed from lessons accumulated over 20 years of combat in Iraq and Afghanistan, where soldiers repeatedly identified the need for a more accurate sight for the M2 without significantly reducing the wide field of view that crew-served weapon gunners require to manage threats in complex environments. That feedback loop between frontline experience and equipment development is precisely the process that produced the M155, and the soldiers training at Camp Grayling were the first to benefit from it in a fielded unit context. The M155 MMO mounts to the M2 and M2A1 via the BOERS M2 mount, a low-profile quick-disconnect rail system developed by B. Myers Company that attaches to the receiver of the weapon and allows optics to be swapped between day and night variants without losing the weapon's zero, the critical alignment between the sight and where the weapon actually fires. Previous mounting systems for M2 optics sat significantly higher above the receiver, forcing gunners to expose more of their body above protective shields to use them, and required complete removal of the optic during maintenance, which caused a loss of zero and required rezeroing before the next engagement. The BOERS M2's low-profile design keeps gunners lower and safer, while the Quick Disconnect feature allows the optic to be removed and reattached without disturbing the zero setting. The performance numbers Pollard described during the training event are significant for a crew-served weapon that historically relied on volume of fire and tracers to walk rounds onto target. The M155 MMO system achieves first-round accuracy of 80 to 85, a figure that represents a meaningful improvement over iron sight shooting under operational conditions, particularly in low-light dust or when targets are at the longer end of the weapon's effective range. Soldiers who trained at range 45 described the difference in practical terms that translate directly into how the weapon performs under stress. Sergeant Eleanor Osgood, a mass communications specialist with the 126th Phase, described the practical difference the Optic made during live fire. Compared with the original iron sights, the M155 MMO illuminates targets especially when the environmental elements are not the best, Osgood said. The red sight is very useful in ensuring the round hits the target. SBC Dana Vermilye, also a mass communications specialist with the 126th Phase, offered her assessment after firing both iron sights and the new Optic in sequence. From the time I shot the M2A1 with the iron sights compared to the M155 MMO system, it has enhanced my ability to shoot more accurately, Vermilye said. The Optic overall has a lot of clarity, plus the magnifier allows you to see clearly at longer distances. For soldiers from the 126th Phase completed the initial training covering the zeroing procedures, laser bore sighting requirements, installation on the M2A1, and target engagement before returning to their unit as qualified instructors who can train fellow soldiers on the new system. That train-the-trainer model is how the Army intends to spread M155 MMO proficiency as the Optic is fielded to additional units following the 126th's inaugural reception at Camp Grayling. The M2 machine gun has been upgraded, refurbished, and carried through nearly a century of American warfare from World War II to Iraq and Afghanistan without a modern optic system becoming standard across the force.